Disney loves their formulas. Whether it's their movies, TV shows, musicals, or whatever, Disney knows what works and just runs with it. And about a year ago, I noticed a pretty consistent formula in Disney Channel's cartoons, where each one is about kids being whisked away from their boring lives and tossed into new worlds full of magic and mystery with a new family to help guide them through their new adventures. I first noticed this after binging through Gravity Falls and then moving on to Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And then Ducktales, then Amphibia, then The Owl House. Maybe I watched too many cartoons. But every time, that formula was there. So I made a video about it. Disney's next Gravity Falls. I looked at Disney's current lineup of fantasy cartoons to see which one had the potential to become the next big thing after Disney's previous champion, Gravity Falls, ended in 2016. And also seeing which one could fill the empty void in the hearts of Gravity Falls fans. Somewhere along the line, my brand became Denial. I'm not sure how that happened. You can check that video out here if you want. But long story short, while I love all of these cartoons, I decided that The Owl House had the best chance of becoming Disney's next Gravity Falls. Meaning it has great mystery, great characters, great lore, a lot of hype, and it just had the right vibe. If there was one show that would give Gravity Falls fans everything they were missing, this was it. But a lot has happened since I made that video. So today, I just want to check up on these 3 amazing cartoons, see what's new, and see if my thoughts have changed since the first time I did this. So this is Disney's next Gravity Falls, Part 2. Now again, I have to stress, there is no replacing Gravity Falls. That show was its own special thing that will never be replicated. And I'm not saying these shows are trying to be like Gravity Falls. Yeah, they have similar setups and vibes, but they are all their own unique things. They are not Gravity Falls clones. This video means nothing. I'm just having fun. Oh, and fair warning, there will be a lot of spoilers this time around. We good? Awesome. So we got 3 shows to look at today. Ducktales, which follows 3 brothers, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, as they go on wild, fantastical, and supernatural adventures with their rich Uncle Scrooge McDuck. Amphibia, which is all about 3 girls being magically transported to a world of frog people, where our main character, Anne, befriends a local family as they all try to find Anne's friends and get them sent back to the human world. And lastly, The Owl House, about a girl named Luce stumbling into another dimension full of magic and witches, where she also befriends a local family who tries to help her get back to the human world. I told you these setups were similar. So, to start, let's see what's new with Ducktales. Oh no. Yeah, so last time I said that Ducktales, despite being one of my all-time favorite cartoons, just wasn't really gaining much hype or catching on with audiences. The show's popularity just seemed like it was on a downward trend, even though the show itself just kept getting better. Well, we got our first big update. As of March 2021, after 3 seasons, Ducktales is done. And oof, that one hurt. This was one of my all-time favorite cartoons, so I really do hate to see it go. But at least the show was given a proper ending. A big 3-part special called Ducktales: The Last Adventure. And this was just a really nice finale. All the big characters got their moment, a bunch of classic villains and side characters were involved, Donald got sacrificed, and we even got some major plot twists. It was pretty much everything you could want in a DuckTales finale. Now, in my last video, I said that DuckTales was a show that any fan of Gravity Falls would enjoy, but it was just missing that big overarching mystery that would keep you hooked. And even after watching the finale, I'd say that's still a fair statement. The finale definitely had some build-up over the season, but the show was still mostly a fun adventure of the week kind of thing. They had several episodes set up the events of the finale, but the big mystery element and plot twist didn't actually come in until part 1 of the finale. Kinda going with what I said before. Mysteries are part of DuckTales, but DuckTales is not its mysteries. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you're a Gravity Falls fan looking for a new show to scratch that same itch, I don't know, that might be something you care about. But the important thing here is that DuckTales was an amazing show that I really think deserved more than what it got. There really wasn't a bad episode in the bunch, and I'm so glad the show got to wrap itself up properly. And whether you care about Gravity Falls or not, if you've got Disney Plus, I highly recommend you check it out now that you can just binge it all start to finish. Gonna miss you, DuckTales. So now let's jump over to Amphibia. Boy, a lot can happen in a year, man. So, last time I talked about this show, I said it was super fun, great world, great characters, but I thought it was also lacking the deeper mysteries and plot that a Gravity Falls fan would be looking for. Plus, like DuckTales, I wasn't really seeing much hype or fandom for the show going around online. And wow, do I look stupid for that now. Back in May, we got Amphibia's Season 2 finale, True Colors. And I genuinely don't think any episode of a cartoon has ever left me this shocked. True Colors legit starts with a warning. I've never seen that before. So what actually happened in the episode to justify all this? Well, let's just say it involved a sword, a main character, and the intersection of the two. On top of that, we got secret villains, characters going frickin' Super Saiyan, and at the end, a huge shift in how the show works. After 2 seasons, Anne, Sprig, Polly, and Hop Pop have finally made their way to the human world. And that can only mean one thing: Amphibia is getting a 3rd season! And that honestly surprised me, because True Colors really felt like a series finale. Like, all the big plot threads were finally getting resolved and the show was reaching its peak, but apparently not. We got a whole 3rd season coming up that's gonna take the adventure out into the human world. Kinda like how Star switched things up, just, you know, backwards. It's absolutely insane, man. Every little nitpick that I had about Amphibia in my last video was completely undone in just a few episodes. I said the show was low on plot, mystery, and lore. The show said, screw you, here's secret mystical superpowers, double-crossing villains, main character development, and an actual on-screen death. That's probably gonna be undone in the next season, but still, this was a huge deal for Amphibia. After True Colors premiered, search traffic for Amphibia shot way up, I was seeing fan art all over Twitter, and suddenly I was hearing about it non-stop for days. Giving Amphibia the last thing I said it was missing last time: hype. The show has definitely taken far more risks than I ever expected a Disney cartoon to take. Remember, this is still the show with an orange grandpa frog voiced by Goofy. But with all that said, the show can't be that far off from the series finale now, right? Like, we've got a guaranteed season 3, but after True Colors, how much further can the show even go? I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting pretty close to the series finale for Amphibia. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because Amphibia has taken things to a whole new level this year. And at this point, I'd say it's starting to rival the Owl House. Speaking of, that leaves us with one more show to check up on: the Owl House. Like I said, this was my #1 pick in my Disney's Next Gravity Falls video, and after catching up with the show, yeah, that still stands. There's really not much more to add. This is just the perfect show for any Gravity Falls fan to check out. Things in the Owl House have only been getting more and more interesting. We're about halfway through season 2 now, and so much has happened. We got to see who was sending Luce's mom all those fake letters from camp. We're learning more about Emperor Belos's face. I mean, his plans to merge the demon world with the human world. Luce finally told her mom about the Boiling Isles. King is finally contributing to the main plot. Congratulations. As we learn more about where he came from, and even got to see his dad. And, of course, Luce and Amity are now officially dating. That is a lot of new stuff for just 10 episodes. But even with all these long-running questions getting answered, there's still tons of new mysteries popping up in their place. We're only halfway through the season, but things are picking up steam fast. And unfortunately, I think I might know why. See, earlier this year, the Owl House was renewed for a 3rd season. Yeah, kinda. It's not really a season like you'd think. We're not getting a big batch of new episodes, we're getting 3 44-minute long specials. I guess kinda taking the Adventure Time Distant Lands approach. But then, not long after this announcement, it came out that this weird new season would be the Owl House's final season. Of course. Now, on the one hand, this means the Owl House will probably be cutting back on filler and focusing in on just its main plot from now on, which is cool. But on the other hand, the Owl House is basically on a countdown to the end now. We know exactly when the show's gonna end, and that's just kind of a bummer. The show really feels like it's just getting started, but is unfortunately gonna be cut off too soon. I mean, at least the show is gonna have the chance to properly end, but man, I really think this world and these characters have so much more potential than that. It's just a shame. So that kind of puts things in a weird place. Ducktales is over, Amphibia probably isn't too far from wrapping up, and the Owl House is officially on track to end in probably the next year. It feels like all these shows are still brand new, but before we knew it, now it feels like they're all ending. Forget pretending Gravity Falls isn't over, I'm gonna have to start pretending these shows aren't over. A lot can happen in a year, man. And I know by now I've made 2 whole videos looking at these shows and seeing which one could be the, quote, new Gravity Falls. But this really just highlights how there is no replacing not only Gravity Falls, any of these shows. I know they all have similar elements, but they've all gone in vastly different directions from that that setup, and that's more clear now than it ever was. At this point, whether these shows were inspired by Gravity Falls or not, doesn't matter. They not only carved out their own identities, but they managed to totally shake up the cartoon world in their own unique ways. Ducktales is basically the industry standard for a good reboot. The Owl House is consistently breaking new ground for LGBTQ+ representation in kids shows, and Amphibia is helping push the envelope for what you can tackle in a modern kids show in general. If you ask me, these shows go beyond just being the next Gravity Falls, they're a next step for the entire industry. And also a next step in my denial. Guys, did you know DuckTales has a video game? It's like it never left!